Circa Tonight, powered by SharpStack. Matt Brown, Steven Anders coming to you here, counting down to Thursday night football. Las Vegas Raiders on the road at the Denver Broncos. Steven Anders there at that shiny new sports book in Kentucky. Circa Sports is, telling you, the place to bet. Best odds, best splits, best everything you're going to get, lowest hold on all of that. So definitely want to check that out if you are in the area. And of course, you will see it throughout the course of this broadcast, but what the guys over at 4for4 have going on with SharpStack, you definitely want to take advantage of that. TNF Live is your code for a free 7 days and 25% off over there at SharpStack. Steven, we are looking at 9 right now. There is still 1 9.5 out there in the market. There's actually a couple of 8.5s that have popped. So the support for the Raiders rolling in here a little bit later. Of course, this was double digits at one time throughout the course of the week. That got bought up down to 9.5, down to 9. And like I said, down to 8.5 at a couple of places. 42.5 to 43 is our total.
Matt, I gotta be honest with you, man. I'm kind of wondering about betting the Raiders here tonight, and a couple reasons why. Number one, it's asking Bo Nix to basically win by double digits, and Bo Nix has been really the Achilles heel to why this Broncos team is not a Super Bowl contender in my mind. He's been bad. FTN has some good stats on him that I've seen this week. They have a couple of stats called missed rate and missed yards. A miss is an uncatchable pass when the target was open. Bo Nix is first in missed yards by more than 200, ahead of Cam Ward at number 2. And he's number 3 in missed rate. Penix and Ward, the only ones worse than him. So that's the first thing I think of when I see this. I don't think I ever want to bet Bo Nix to cover this big of a spread, but the spot stinks for the Raiders. I mean, they trade Jacoby Myers. They're going on the road here to Elevation on a short week, and it's a big trenches mismatch. This is an elite offensive line and an elite defensive line for the Broncos, maybe the best in the league, against really average or below average, depending on whether you're talking about the defensive or offensive line for the Raiders. So I'm having a hard time getting to pushing the button right now. I don't know how you feel about it, but it's really hard for me to want to bet Bo Nix, first of all, but I need some encouragement if I'm going to bet the Raiders here, coming off an overtime game on a short week too.
Yeah, I missed the 10 that was available. I feel kind of dumb about that because I would have bet him at 10. Like I just, I didn't think we would get to 10 with it opening at 9.5. And then with that, I was just very, very shocked. We got to 10, didn't last very long. And now it's just tough knowing the double digit was out there for me to get involved at the 9.5, but it would only be Raiders or pass for me. Listen, what would we think of this Broncos team if they didn't have that 33-point fourth quarter against the New York Football Giants? Like, what would we think of this team if they haven't been able to escape against the Texans whenever they had to go to Davis Mills? I mean, like, there is a lot here with this Denver team that has a ton of warts. And, we did some preseason content. I actually have a bunch of Denver tickets. I feel very fortunate that they're still alive right now because I think this team might be one of the most kind of smoke and mirror teams that there is out there. Now, this defense is definitely good. However, we saw last week with the removal of Patrick Surtain, we saw when Stroud was in there and even when Davis Mills were in there, they were able to move the ball through the air. It is a much easier defensive game plan when you go, hey, you're going to go remove that best guy on their side of the field. And then after that, we'll deal with the other 10 guys, but you just go take that dude out of the game. And with that, we'll just move on. And we saw, Nico Collins had a game last week, and obviously Jacoby Myers isn't there, but there's this little dude named Brock Bowers that's here for this team that is like unguardable. Like if you look all last year, Steven, the dude was just living open. He is a mismatch for everybody. Week 1, monster game again, gets hurt in week number 2, tries to battle through it, doesn't have the break, doesn't have the spark, doesn't have the separation. They sit him down, comes back last week, looks like the same monster that he is. I think he has a game here, man. Like I bet over 60.5 that was available. It's already, I think it's up to 62.5, maybe even 64.5 at this point. I would still bet it there. I mean, we're talking 4 yards. If a guy that I think is going to have a monster game, then I'm not really worried about the fact that it moved.
Yeah, that's why we got SharpStack, baby. Let's pull it up. See what
Yeah.
we got here on Brock Bowers. So you go to the prop screen here. You can filter by game. So we got Raiders Broncos right there. Let's go to receiving yards and see how much Brock Bowers has been bet up in this game. Scroll a little bit, and yeah, I mean anywhere between 65.5 and 69.5, Matt.
Whoa.
So we got some steam on the Bowers parade here.
And listen, here's the thing. Steven, he's unguardable. Like, you can't put a corner on, most corners you can't put on him because he's too big. Most linebackers are too slow to cover him. Like, I don't know what you do to take this guy out of the game other than like full time try and double team him. And then if you do that, even the Raiders and Geno Smith can take advantage of that situation if that's how they're going to try to do it, because you at least do have some speedsters in the wide receiving core for this team. And so, again, I would only be playing the Raiders in this one. I cannot find myself on the Broncos at all. This offense, Steven, is atrocious. Like, this offense is terrible. And so at some point it's got to give. And maybe that's tonight. It wouldn't surprise me if the Raiders are in this thing late. Like, it wouldn't surprise me if the Raiders have a chance to win this game. I'm not saying they will, but it wouldn't surprise me if we're in the fourth quarter and this is still a 1-score game and the Raiders have the ball to maybe go down and try to win this thing.
Yeah. At the same time, I'll just, devil's advocate argument.
Sure.
I put so much emphasis on trenches, like probably more than most people, because, you and I have had conversations. If you can't block, then you can't run an offense. And you would think the Broncos are going to be able to get a significant amount of pressure on Geno Smith before Brock Bowers came back. I don't know if it was nobody being open because they don't have Bowers and he's such a big part of the offense, or the offensive line legitimately not being able to block great. I haven't been able to really diagnose that well, but it's clear to me that the Broncos have a trenches edge on no matter who has the ball on offense in this game. So that's the hard part for me, but it's a heck of a lot of points. So the only debate in my head at this point as we get closer to kickoff is, do you just bet the Raiders, or do we tease this down for basically the Broncos just to win a game on a short week at home at elevation, with the Raiders coming off a 5-quarter game with overtime last week? That's kind of what I'm debating.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I definitely get it.
Where an 8.5 is available, to be
right,
clear.
where the 8.5s are available. I don't know. Obviously this is going to be a super hugely popular survivor pick tonight as well, right? I mean, like, the projection systems have this at like maybe 20+% of remaining pools.
Not for me.
Fortunately for me, I don't have the Broncos available anymore. So like, it's not even an option for me, but I wouldn't have come with this. Wouldn't even have been a consideration for me this week. A short week divisional game with Bo Nix at quarterback and how atrocious this offense has looked at most times throughout the course of the season. Man, no way, no how for me, Steven. I actually think it would not surprise me. And I think if you and I are texting later tonight and the Raiders are going to win this game outright, I don't think you and I are going to be shocked at all.
No, not at all. And listen, as far as my prop look, I'm right there with you, man. Like, I was thinking about betting some Brock Bowers as well, because apparently this guy is so good. He's like alpha wide receiver value to the spread, because this was 10.5 on the look ahead. Bowers comes back, looks good. And now we're basically in teaser range at half the books out there. So, I'm looking at anytime touchdowns for Brock Bowers here on SharpStack. And again, TNF live for that free 7-day trial for the promo code. And I'm getting like plus 175, 180 on Brock Bowers right now, depending on where you go for an anytime touchdown. You can get 11-1 for first touchdown. Matt, I hit a sweet little, one of the fun little kind of dart throws I like to do sometimes is same game parlaying first touchdown scorer with 2+ touchdowns in the game. Because if you get the first one, that's pretty highly correlated to plummeting those odds for him to get a second one for the rest of the game. And that happened with Brock Bowers last week. You can get like 50 to 60-1 on something like that. But if you don't want to get that crazy, I still think Bowers plus 175, 180 for an anytime touchdown here is very fair for a defense that's missing Surtain, that already, if it had any weakness in the passing game, it has been covering tight ends. And the corner that's replacing Surtain is a rookie with a PFF grade in the 50s and Jada Brown. So I don't think this is quite the same second and third level defense, linebacker core and secondary for the Broncos without Surtain.
No, me neither. And so I think we saw a little bit of that last week. I do wonder what that would have looked like if Stroud hadn't gotten knocked out of the game. They were having success moving the ball a lot. And,
ton of steam on the Texans for a second week in a row.
He's not a complete waste of space, but like he didn't have any mobility. He didn't have he just doesn't bring anything that Stroud brings to the table. And so I don't know. I think Denver probably gets the L last week if that isn't the case. So I'm again pretty firmly, we'll see what the algorithm does. Maybe Denver gets the ball first and kicks a field goal and we can get it at 10 as opposed to, the 9.5 right now or something like that. So I'll be paying attention. Double digit seems too tempting for me to pass up.
You have any thoughts on the total? It's been bet down since we've come on the air from 43 down to, 42, 42.5. So some under money's coming in here. 43 is kind of a keyish number. So if you have one of those still available somewhere, that's, you're going to get some CLV on that. But just on the angle that Raiders are coming off the overtime game, obviously have a trenches mismatch. Is there any correlation here to Raiders covering a big number and the under?
Probably, but I also, if my handicap though is also predicated on the fact that they should be able to, that I think they're going to be able to move the ball on this defense and that Brock Bowers is going to have a good game, I'm kind of almost betting against my handicap there a little bit. So unless I'm just saying that I don't think Denver's offense is going to do anything, but you already talked about it. The Vegas defense outside of Max Crosby isn't anything that we're worried about either. So I don't know. Total seems about appropriate to me. Certainly nothing that I was kind of running to bet. What I will say is if you're firmly on the Denver side and if you're willing to lay 9, then you should be willing to lay like 12.5. You should be willing to lay like 16.5, like as part of maybe your portfolio tonight, because there is always the chance that Geno Smith throws it to the other team 3 times in this game. Like his big problem this season has been interceptions. And so that has to be part of your handicap as well with Denver, is that the pressure gets there and Geno Smith wets the bed. And so I think if I'm willing to lay 9, I'm also willing to lay just short of 13, just short of 17, like whatever, and take like some plus money bets as well.
Yeah, but as far as the spread, you and I seem to both be agreed that it's Raiders or nothing. So would you sell points then with the Raiders on the flip side? Maybe like, half a unit on the normal spread at 9.5 since we missed the 10s. And then if you can find a 3.5 at like there's plus 3.5 available on the Raiders at 2-1 odds for this game tonight.
I think that's a pretty decent look to be part of your portfolio. I mean, look, 9 is fairly insignificant anyway. And so you might as well sell off of it and get a little bit better price, and as it is.
Yeah. I'm just checking some of the other alts here. Yeah. Plus money on Raiders 7.5, plus 105. You can find on Raiders plus 7.5. So like you said, selling off a couple of usually insignificant points to still get above a touchdown there. Pretty decent. Not having to lay any juice. That's interesting to me for sure.
We will circle back to this one at the end of the broadcast and see if anything has changed as we get a little bit closer to kickoff. But let's head over to Berlin. 6.5 in favor of the Colts over the Falcons. 48.5 is our total here in this one. Of course, the big news here in this one is this Colts team finally had a dud. And so we finally got a dud out of this Colts offense that had been absolutely steamrolling teams. And it was not only a dud, it was pretty terrible. Now, I'm not going to put it all on Indy. I think that Pittsburgh had a really, really good game plan as well in the game. I think that I was very impressed by the defense. I'll put it that way. I'll admit I was way off base when it comes to that. And then of course we have Atlanta, who maybe is the most Jekyll and Hyde team in all the NFL, where some weeks they show up and actually look like a competent NFL team. Other weeks look like one of the worst teams in all of the sport. Where do we sit right here on this one at the neutral field over in Berlin?
Always some unknown when you have teams traveling so far to a game in Europe, but I want to lean back into our prior opinion on the Indianapolis Colts. If you can turn the ball over 6 times and still leave a game impressed, I kind of felt that way about the Colts, man. Like, you turn the ball over 6 times and you only lose by 7 points. Floor seems pretty high for you on a week-to-week basis, I would say. And then the other side too, I felt Atlanta was pretty fortunate with turnover luck as well against the New England Patriots. If you think back to what happened in that game, New England basically had full control the entire first half, and then had a play deep in their own end with 30 seconds left in the half where Drake May had a brain fart, fumbled the ball, and basically instant touchdown for the Falcons. Totally changed the complexion of that game, was able to keep the Falcons basically inside the number the rest of the way, but they were dominated for a lot of that first half. So I want to lean more into this Colts team being what we thought before is maybe a top 5 team in the NFL. And the other side of this matchup too, we know that against a lot of opponents this year, they have run it down their throat with Jonathan Taylor in this offensive line. And the Falcons are bottom 5 in advanced metrics in terms of EPA and success rate and stopping the run. They have not been a very good run defense whatsoever. So I think in a game where maybe some cold and some weather could come into play in Berlin, a little colder over there than a lot of the games stateside this week, I think the Colts can run it down their throat, worst case scenario here. So I'm leaning more into Colts. I bet a -6, -120, -6.5 is fine. And I want to fade kind of a Falcons team that I think is just below average. And Michael Penix has some red flags as well in his quarterback profile.
Also worth noting, Sauce Gardner is going to be active and play in this game. So
it doesn't hurt.
So you're adding one of the very elite corners in all of football. And apparently he's going to step in and play here in this one. So,
and couldn't he just shadow Drake London? Like, if they just want to make it simple for him, couldn't he just shadow Drake London wherever he goes in the formation?
Yeah. I mean, so Sauce Gardner, by the way, if anyone, I know the Jets have been a laughing stock so far this year, but Sauce Gardner, people don't know how ridiculously good this dude is. He has not allowed more than 2 receptions in coverage the entire season. Wow. When he has been in coverage, he has forced a tight window on 52% of the passes that have been thrown in his direction. Also, here are some pretty elite receivers that he has shadowed. DK Metcalf, 90.9% of routes, 1 reception, 11 yards. George Pickens, 89.3, 2 receptions, 57 yards. Cortland Sutton, 86.2%, 1 catch, 17 yards. Mike Evans, 58.3%, 2 catches, 22 yards. Tet McMillan, 53.1% of routes, no catches, no yards. Like, he is ridiculously good. And so, yes, even more reason to think, okay, you go in, this team almost has nothing outside of London in the pass game. I mean, I understand that there is, for a couple of games there, we thought that Kyle Pitts might be something. He has not been again, and just disappointed yet again. So you can only throw it to Bijan so many times out of the backfield. And so, yeah, I'm with you. I think the Colts acquisition of Sauce Gardner shows how they think that this is pretty wide open this year, and they think they might have a team that can actually make a run at the Super Bowl. And I don't fault them. I don't fault the Jets. Sometimes you don't have to have a winner or a loser in a trade, Steven. It can just be good for both teams. And like, the Colts feel like they have a window right now. They're taking advantage of it. The Jets realize they ain't got no kind of window. So they went and dumped. Like, I think it can be perfectly fine for both teams.
Totally agree. As far as the Colts, they very much fit into that mold of Super Bowl contenders we've seen in recent years, who may not have the elite quarterback, but are taking advantage of the salary cap relief you get with a cheaper quarterback. This roster is loaded. We've seen that have success with other teams. And now they've covered up really the biggest weakness they had in the pass coverage. So, and it could get even better in the coming weeks as well. Charvarius Ward was grading out as a top 5 cornerback this year by PFF. So now you put him opposite of Sauce Gardner. It's really just up to Daniel Jones not fumbling the ball and dropping and throwing picks for this Colts team
Yeah.
to truly be in contention deep into the playoffs with a Chiefs team that you've said, and I agree, may have some offensive line questions, with a Bills team that may still have some defensive questions, although they've looked better the past couple of weeks. It's right there for the Colts to take with a genius head coach and a marvelous play caller in Shane Steichen.
Cleveland on the road at the New York Football Jets. This was a flipped favorite situation after the trade deadline, and now we are all the way out to as much as 2.5 in favor of the Browns out there. 37.5 to 38 is our total. Steven, I mean, look, this was not a good defense anyway. So the fact that we're going to move 3.5, 4 points, and I understand moving through zero is insignificant, but like twos are showing up more after with 2-point conversions and things. So like 2 is significant. 2.5 has become a little bit more significant as well. And so getting to that 2.5 number, I don't know if it's not a bridge too far. I mean, it was a bad defense anyway. So sure, you move 2 pieces of it, but like you move 2 pieces of a bad defense. And so it's still a horrific Cleveland offense. And the only thing that we're looking at here is the fact that it's like, oh, well, this defense is going to keep the Jets from doing anything. I don't know, man. I think it takes some stones to back a Browns team on the road just because the Jets moved a couple of their defensive pieces. Like the Jets weren't doing good on defense anyway. So I don't know, man. I thought it was a little funky. There's been some smoke about the Browns and Survivor. And I'm like, dude, if you friggin' risk your Survivor life on the road Browns with this offense and Dylan Gabriel and all the stuff like that, like you deserve what's coming to you. Like, I mean, like seriously, like you deserve what's coming to you. That is like crazy talk.
Yeah. 32 quarterbacks who qualified for the EPA plus CPOE composite score this year. Dylan Gabriel's dead last. He's 32nd. Yeah. You want to put your Survivor life on that, you go right ahead. And then Justin Fields on the other side, man, when he's played an actual good defense, has been putrid. He has had less than 100 combined passing yards against the Denver and Carolina defenses this year. So with him playing the Browns this week, I really don't care. But
they haven't said it's going to be him. It might be Tyrod Taylor.
It's true. It's fair. There was some smoke about that before Tyrod had a midweek injury, I guess.
And they've still not announced who is going to be at quarterback. And so, like, it wouldn't surprise me if it was Tyrod Taylor. If it's Tyrod Taylor, the Jets might win this thing outright.
If it's so, would you agree that right now I have no interest in teasing the Jets?
Yeah.
Because it's Fields and maybe it's just like nobody cares anymore because they trade. If it's Tyrod, would you tease him up to 8?
Oh, yeah, and I'd probably play him on the money line. I'm being serious. Like, I mean, like I think that
Gabriel's that bad.
Like, he is a fine look. If he was a starter in this league, would he be a bottom third quarterback? Yeah, but like he could be a starter for like he could be starting in New Orleans. He's better than Tyler Shook. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like there are places that he would be starting. He'd still be a bottom third quarterback, but I mean he could play in a couple of different places. But yeah, I mean, absolutely would be interested in that. That's why the only thing is I can't really accurately handicap this game right now until I get confirmation who's going to be under center for the Jets.
Yeah, full disclosure, I teased the Browns earlier in the week. Doesn't help anybody now. So to me, it might just be the under if you're trying to get in on this now, or it's just skip this game altogether because it's a terrible freaking game and who cares, right? I mean,
right.
Maybe we should
neither one of these teams are going anywhere, so we don't have to worry about that. New Orleans Saints on the road at the Carolina Panthers. The Panthers, yes, the Carolina Panthers are 5.5-point favorites at home here. 39.5 is our prevailing total. Tyler Shook in for his second start at quarterback. Of course, the Saints shipped off a failing left tackle of theirs. I mean, he never really lived up to his first round billing. And then also Rashid Shaheed shipped him out to Seattle. Carolina is a team that has actually surprised me at times with their competency. That being said, this is also going to be a very popular Survivor play. I think that is really interesting, and mainly, Steven, because like we have no sample size of Tyler Shook. Like, I don't think he's very good. Maybe he is good. There's a lot of variance in playing the Carolina Panthers this week because we have no idea what this team could possibly look like taking this field. I mean, no Shaheed, but then they traded for Vele earlier in the year, and apparently they did that on purpose because they knew Shaheed wasn't going to re-sign with him anyway. Like he was a free agent in the offseason. So like they were either going to trade him or he wasn't going to re-sign. So they could get Vele for cheap. They're saying he's like a 1-for-1 trade-off and like all these things. Like, I don't know, man. I think it's embracing a lot of variance if you're playing Carolina this week. And from a spread standpoint, it's gotten to the point where that's a decently big number for Carolina to cover. So I think I'm going to take a pass on this one as well.
That was my first reaction is Carolina's how big of a favorite?
Yeah.
And the consensus market ratings 2 weeks ago made these teams about a point apart on a neutral field. So if you want to get generous and give Carolina up to 3 on the spread on their home field, which I don't know if they have that much of a home field advantage. This is pretty hefty for Carolina, but it is Tyler Shuck. We don't know if he meets the threshold, so to speak, with stealing a line from my friends over at Gridiron Gamble. Last week was just weird for him. That game was weird. Like they were never going to beat the Rams, but he had 5.6 yards per play in that offense, but they went 2 of 9 on third down, lost the turnover battle, but they only had 16 minutes of time of possession. The Rams had the ball for 43 minutes in that game. Like it's weird box score for sure. So like,
I tell you right now, Steven, if this gets to 6, I'm going to be tempted. Like, in full disclosure, I have the Saints as the second worst team in the NFL. Like they are literally 31st out of 32 teams in my power ratings. But like, again,
they're playing a team without a passing offense.
There is some variance in this offense right now because we don't know what this quarterback is. He could be exponentially better than Spencer Rattler. I mean, for all we know, like who knows? And like what this offense looks like now that they've kind of decided to YOLO it and all this, like I don't know. I think there's a decent amount of variance in this game. And if you give me 6, I think I would take the gamble with them.
Yeah, I guess we'll see if it gets there. Saints are also down 2 offensive linemen, one from injury a couple weeks ago, one from a trade. Trevor Penning going to the Chargers. So that's something to factor in as well. But, I mean, Panthers may have won that game against the Packers, but I thought that said more about the Packers than the Panthers.
For sure.
The Panthers had 100 passing yards in that game. So
the Packers, we'll get to the Packers later. Packers are crap, dude. Packers are crap.
But I think you and I are agreed. We're established that it's Saints or nothing. If I wind up betting it, I'll leave it in the comments.
Buffalo and Miami. This is out to 9.5 in favor of Buffalo on the road at Miami. 50 is our total here, prevailing in this one. Steven, Buffalo came out and looked like the best team in the NFL. I know the scoreboard was closer than how bad they beat the Chiefs. And I understand the Chiefs were on the road. It was up in Buffalo. I get all that. But they comprehensively were whipping that ass in that game. And then, and like, I know at the end, the scoreboard didn't look near as bad, but that was a really, really great performance by this Buffalo team. And we did whisper it last week. This is not a victory lap or a pat on the back, but we were whispering about those offensive line problems with the Chiefs. Could Patrick Mahomes keep pulling rabbits out of his hat? The answer was no. They were in the backfield. Joey Bosa hadn't been in the backfield that much in 4 years, like in 4 seasons. Like if you combine all of them together, Joey Bosa was in the backfield like every single time, like touching Patrick Mahomes. I mean, so I don't know, man. I think this number's appropriate. Unlike the other games, like this would definitely be Buffalo or pass for me. I have no interest in backing this Miami team at all. Guys wanting to get traded, not getting traded. Like, you know, what's going on with the coach? Probably dead man walking. Here's the other thing. The schedule worked out so great for Buffalo. This used to be one of the toughest games because it would be freezing cold in Buffalo, and then they would have to go down and play in Miami. It's early in the season. It's not cold in Buffalo yet, so this temperature thing isn't going to be that big of a deal. I mean, everything comes up Buffalo for me here.
Yeah, I think, Dolphins trade one of their better defensive linemen from a defense that was already awful. Chop Robinson is back-to-back DMP with a concussion this week. Bradley Chubb has been limited back-to-back with a foot. And then one of, if not the worst secondaries, Rasul Douglas, one of their starting cornerbacks, is back-to-back DMP with a foot/ankle. So what Bills can basically pick what they want to score in this game, it seems. So it's Bills or pass. Do I want to bet like a Bills team total over 29.5? I don't know. The other side of this too is that the head coach survived another week because the GM got fired first. So it's at least a temporary vote of confidence for the head coach. So Mike McDaniel can maybe like start to enforce some more culture stuff if he wants, because he's got nothing to lose at this point. Like if Tua plays poorly and keeps throwing picks, does he bench Tua at this point with kind of the podium feuds they've been having for the last couple of weeks here? So this could get really bad. This could get really ugly. I thought that was a good spot for the Dolphins last week at home on a short week. Lamar's first game back, maybe a little rusty, and they just it was closer than the final score indicated, but part of that was Dolphins' incompetence as well. So only Bills, but debating whether I just want to bet the team total here.
I was waiting for it to hit. It hit. It's pretty hefty, but I think I'm going to do it anyway. I was looking to see what James Cook's longest rush was going to be. The Dolphins' rush defense is 31st in explosive plays allowed on the season. They give up an explosive run 9.7% of the time. So nearly 1 in every 10 runs goes for 15 plus yards against this team. And they're down now a couple of defensive dudes, right? Like, so 17.5 for James. I get it. It's a big number, but he's going to get 10 carries. On average, the Dolphins have give up an explosive every 10 carries. And so I think that James Cook in this situation too could have a field day. So I took the longest rush for James Cook over 17.5. And it's a pretty low juice, like a -105 on that too.
Yeah. Love that. Don't hate it at all. I think this is Bills. I've been very impressed with the Bills coming out of the bye week. Handled their business against the Panthers. Very impressive against the Chiefs. Maybe they've turned a corner and fixed something in the bye week with this defense. Not sure I'm ready to crown them yet from a Super Bowl perspective, but they're going to be playing a lot of inferior teams the rest of the way.
Jacksonville and Houston. This is okay. Now pretty much now everywhere about a point and a half in favor of Jacksonville. At Circa still listed as a pick. 37.5 is our total. CJ Stroud already ruled out. It is going to be Davis Mills. That concussion is going to keep Stroud out for this week. Jacksonville down every receiver that they have. They traded for Jacoby Myers to try and get some sort of something going on with them, because you already had Travis Hunter out. Then you have Brian Thomas dealing with injuries. There's all kinds of stuff going on there as well. Steven, like we said, Davis Mills isn't trash, but he's not good either. I don't really know what to do with this one. Like this is a very perplexing one to me.
I bet under. Okay. And it's not a very complicated handicap. I know it's a low total. I know I bet it at 38, 37.5 is like a borderline preseason total, but these quarterbacks are not good. And one of these defenses is elite. The Texans defense is top 2 in the league in basically every metric, right next to the Denver Broncos. So let's look at the quarterbacks. Last time we saw Davis Mills for an extended period of time was 2022. Among 156 quarterbacks with at least 200 plays since 2021, so post-pandemic, that 2022 Davis Mills season ranked 146th out of 156 in EPA plus CPOE composite. Now let's look at Trevor Lawrence. This year, Trevor Lawrence would rank 125th on that EPA plus CPOE composite list. Ironically, one spot ahead of 2021 Davis Mills. So this is 4th quadrant, bottom 25%, really bottom 10% last time we saw Davis Mills. I don't think there's going to be a lot of scoring in this game. I took like a 0.2 of a unit and put it on no touchdown in this game, 66-1, Matt. I think both these teams are going to struggle with the quarterback play. Just because of what Davis Mills is, the style that DeMeco Ryans wants to run, his unwillingness to go for it on fourth downs where he's just going to settle for field goals. And then Trevor Lawrence just has been questionable at best for most of the year. And now he has to run into this Texans defense with injured wide receivers on top of everything else, right? Like, I know they got Jacoby Myers, but he's been there for a couple of days. Brian Thomas is dealing with an ankle. Travis Hunter's on IR. They're giving 10 targets to Parker Washington. I mean, what is this? This does not seem like a lot of points to me.
Baltimore on the road at Minnesota. This is market low of 3.5, market high of 4.5, 4 at most places, including Circa. 49 is the prevailing total here in this one. Lamar Jackson back last week. The Baltimore team looked competent again. The defense was healthy, and they looked at least somewhat competent again. Minnesota put on a hell of a performance, and let me tell you, I was all over the Lions. What Flores did with that defense and how they were able to keep the Lions on their heels was really impressive. I'll admit that. Listen, that was a defensive win. JJ McCarthy didn't have to do anything in that game. I mean, that was a defensive win. I mean, he did just enough to get it done, but like everyone was kind of like, oh, look, JJ McCarthy, you know, it's like, yeah, I mean, he did enough to win the game. The defense won the game for them there. But Steven, the thing is we're on the other side of a field goal here with Baltimore. How much do we trust them on the road against the Vikings?
This is the opinion game of the week, right? Like, how can anybody have huge conviction on anything here with Lamar just the second game back from injury and the Ravens defensive line basically still on IR? And obviously JJ McCarthy is the quarterback for the Vikings. So I have a bet in this game. I will preface it with its opinion. It's basically looking holistically at when the rest of the season is over here. What's more likely, that the Vikings level up with JJ McCarthy or that the Ravens level up with this roster that was thought to be elite coming into the year? Defense is disappointed. I don't think the defense will get back to what we thought it was. They're missing too many defensive linemen, but I think Lamar Jackson is good. And I think I'm more willing to lay points with him in a tough spot on the road than I am to believe that everything's fine now all of a sudden with JJ McCarthy. So that's kind of where I'm at. I scooped the 3.5 on the Vikings, but I certainly feel like this is the least conviction I have on a bet on my card this week.
Yeah, I would only lay it, but I couldn't quite get there for everything you just said. It's like I'm very heavily numbers based, and it would basically be just me going completely off of that and just saying, I think they're better. And I do think they're better. That's what I'm saying. It would be, I think this will end up being a contest play for me. As we start the new quarter over in Circa, you know, and so, hey, here we go, Steven. We can win the big check. You know, it's a new quarter. It's a new
Let's
quarter.
Go.
We can win
Hope
the big
springs
check.
eternal.
Yeah. So, yeah, probably a contest play for me, but nothing in the account. New England Patriots on the road at the Tampa Bay Bucks. This is 2.5, though at a couple spots look like this could be headed to 3. Back towards 3, I should say. In this, so, because we did hit 3 a couple places. 48.5 to 48 is the total out there. Steven, this is the, you want to talk about the opinion game. This is actually my opinion game. So I took New England at 3 minus 118. This Tampa Bay injury report didn't get any better again today. I bet it off of the injury report, which was coming out of a bye. No Godwin, no Bucky Irving, no Hassan Reddick. Like, these dudes got the bye week and still aren't out there practicing. And that's not saying they won't play, but I mean, this is a Thursday and like 2 DNPs in a row coming out of a bye. So doesn't seem very good for Tampa here in this one. I'm a believer in New England. I'm a believer in Drake May. I'm a believer in all of the stuff that basically everybody is saying about this team. No running back has had any sort of success against them, so you have to throw. Like, they're completely a funnel defense. I kind of like that a lot of times with these teams. So I mean, this is a prove it to me Tampa game. Baker Mayfield obviously could go out there and be Superman, put on the cape, and If so, then I'll lose the bet, but I took 3 with New England.
Are you with me that it was more bad variance than wrong side that the Patriots didn't cover against the Falcons last week?
Sure.
That's kind of where I'm at with it.
They were by far the better team.
Agreed. 100% agree. Yeah. The only question I have, and maybe the last 2 weeks should have erased this for me by now with the Patriots, is the quality of opponent they've played pretty much for most of the year versus Tampa has just come out of a murderer's row with injuries. I mean, they've had games against Detroit and Philadelphia. So, like, are we downgrading Tampa too much based on a really good schedule against a defense in New England that is a pass funnel? I don't know where I stand on that. Like, I think it's telling that this got bet to 3 and came right back, right? Like, there isn't a majority of opinion that the Bucs should be 3 in this game.
Mm-hmm.
That's for sure. What I am more confident in is that both of these defenses are legitimately elite in stopping the run. So this to me sets up as a game with a ton of passing. So I feel like the total is where I want to live with a bet in this game. It hasn't moved all week. It's been sitting at 48, 48 and a half. 47's more of a keyish number below that. I was hoping it would move down closer to 47 with Christian Gonzalez being okay to play in this game in the secondary for the Patriots and those offensive injuries you mentioned for the Bucs coming out of the bye. It still hasn't moved. I might bet it anyway, but like, this is 2 pass funnel defenses here with how elite they are in running the ball on top of the Patriots already not being a good rushing offense anyway. I could see both of these quarterbacks having 50 attempts in this game, Matt.
Yeah. The other thing that I would point out, again, this is sometimes I know you can like get too into the weeds here and people go like, dude, and they'll roll their eyes and stuff. And it's fair, but like, so Drake May so far this year has been great. Like, with play action, right? And I don't know how much it's going to work considering they don't have a successful run game and all of that. Like, but when they do get it to work, he's like 7th in the NFL, like passing out of play action plays and things like that. Tampa's defense, 28th in yards per play off of play action. It doesn't seem like the discipline has been there on that side of the ball for them. And, again, just another thing that could be an advantage in a game in which I'm trying to find reasons to want to bet the Patriots. Drake May's rushing yards is at 30 and a half. It wouldn't like Drake May might lead this game in rushing if we're being honest.
Yeah.
And maybe instead of betting that, maybe I'll just bet leading rusher is Drake May or something in this game. But like, they're not gonna be able to run the ball against Tampa. Tampa doesn't have Bucky Irving. They're not gonna be able to run the ball against New England. No one has run the ball against New England like all year long. So I don't know. That might be an interesting look. Maybe just Drake May is like leading rusher in the game.
Yeah, and I'm thinking more about the total as you've been talking, and I do have some concerns that Tampa Bay could be in a spot where they're having trouble contributing to this total. Just because of those offensive injuries with Bucky and Godwin and Mike Evans still being injured. Mm-hmm. So that concerns me a little bit. So maybe it's just leaning into Drake May. Like, what do we feel most confident in this game? That Drake May is good. Yeah. And you can, with the Patriots being an underdog, there's a trickle down to the team total there. And you can get over 23.5 on the Patriots at -110 for this game. Like that, I think that's probably what I like most in this one. That's what I'm going to bet. I'm going to bet Patriots over 23.5 -110 in this game. It's an offense that is already among the league leaders in pass rate over expected. And in a matchup here where they're going to have no success running the ball whatsoever, you might get 50 attempts here from Drake May. So that's my bet for this one. Patriots over 23.5 -110.
Yeah. There will be some Drake May stuff for me in this one as well. Like I said, I was thinking about just the rushing yards in general, and I probably will still do that. But I think that probably leading rusher in the game is something I'm going to sprinkle on as well. I mean, the for what it's worth, Tampa's defense has gotten pressure pretty decent. If I look here, 7th highest pressure rate so far, and obviously pressure creates scramble.
How much of that is Reddick?
And well, yeah, maybe so, but Drake May runs anyway, and like if they do get if they do get pressure, that just creates scramble yardage even more. So really do like that angle. So I'm going to give that a whirl, I believe. The New York Football Giants are on the road at Chicago. Chicago is a 4.5-point favorite at home over the Giants. 46.5 is our total here in this one. So, Steven, I say every week there are games that I want to like put on a rocket and fire into the sun, and like this is it. Like, I mean, dude, this game, the outcome of this one could be, so I have the worst number on the over. I played 47. It's down to 46.5. Like, so obviously I have the wrong read on this because it's fallen 2.5 points. Like, I don't know. I played the over because I thought it's a terrible Giants defense. It's a terrible Chicago defense. Like Jackson Dart has looked decent. There's enough playmakers in Chicago. If Caleb Williams can pull his head out of his ass, like they should be able to score some points as well. And here I am on the wrong side of this. Like everybody's still continuing to bet the under in this thing. So I don't know. This game maybe it's just too confusing for me.
Well, I think you should take confidence that your handicap on the over is correct. The only reason this is moving down is weather. There's concern about wind and weather in Chicago on Sunday this time of the year. So you still might be on the right side of this. We'll see if the forecast holds. To be honest with you, that's the only reason I bet the under earlier this week. It was a sheer weather play. But I saw exactly what you did. These defenses are terrible, man. Yeah. Like if you strip out turnovers from everybody and just take out that variance, you have the number 29 and number 31 defenses in this game by EPA per play allowed. And by success rate, they're 29 and 30. So I bet that under with every intention to wait to see where this bottoms out because of the wind and weather and come right back and bet the over and try and middle this. So I do not want to be holding an under ticket going into this game, considering that the weather report is not so bad that we're getting like 20, 30 mile an hour sustained winds here. Just checking it right now real quick. There is potential for some rain, but it's saying less than 50% chance. And I see less than 20 mile per hour sustained winds here. That's not brutal. That's not awful.
Right.
So I have every intention of coming right back and betting the over with this bottoming out here. And I don't think your handicap is wrong at all in terms of the matchup with the over.
If you like, depending on what ends up happening in the Chicago backfield, I don't know. There's that's still a little murky, but over the last 4 weeks, no team has given up more explosives on the ground than the New York Football Giants. They are giving up explosive runs at an unheard of 11.7% of the time. So like more than 1 out of every 10 rushes goes for a ton of yards. And so like, Steven, this is crazy to me. And so again, depending on what ends up happening there, with it, whether it's Monangai or whether Swift comes back or what, or, all of that, like that's why it's a little murky there, but maybe that's something to look at. And certainly if the weather does get worse, then the ground game is going to be like front and center. And so it seems like the Giants are really, really terrible at defending the run here lately. And maybe Chicago's forced to just run it a ton.
Seems the books aren't sure what's going on with this running back duo as well with the Swift injury. They're both at exactly the same price for longest rush over 12.5. So we'll see how that plays out going in. But I mean, Monangai might be better to begin with. So
yeah,
we'll see. We'll see.
No, yeah, I'm kind of with you on that one as well. Arizona is on the road at Seattle. This is, we had a couple of sevens hit out there, including at Circa. 6.5, 7 is the number. Full touchdown now in favor of Seattle. 45 is the prevailing total out there. Seattle, an addition on the offensive side, and Rashid Shaheed, which apparently might be a good thing because Torrey Horton missed practice today out of nowhere. So, so that could be a really good thing that they picked him up after all. Of course, Arizona going to continue on here with Jacoby Brissett. Comes to find out, I guess it wasn't a benching. I guess the injury is worse on Kyler than we thought or something or whatever. Or,
is it?
I mean,
Is it?
Again, yeah, I know. I mean, maybe it's the soft benching, as they say, with all of that. But I guess this foot injury is supposedly maybe up to 8 weeks. Who knows? We'll see.
Yeah.
That being said, I love Seattle. I have Seattle. I absolutely love Seattle. I mean, this team just overall in general, Steven, like it wouldn't surprise me if Seattle's there towards the end. I mean, Darnold has a ton of weapons. He's playing within himself. You got 2 different running backs. You got a pretty good defense. Like, I don't know. It's hard for me to poke holes in this team.
I don't think it's crazy to make the argument that they're the number 1 team in the NFL. I don't think
by
that's
DVOA
crazy.
They are.
There
DVOA hasn't won. DVOA hasn't won overall, and Aaron Schatz actually did an explainer piece on it, and you read the stuff, and it's just it all makes sense. I mean, I watch every game every single week and the replays. Everything I've seen on this Seattle team adds up. It's not. I do not feel like this is smoke and mirrors at all with this team.
Agreed. And he's number 1 in EPA plus CPOE composite score. Just kind of looking at that 0.29 number in context of all quarterback seasons since 2021. It's number 1 since 2021 by a healthy margin over 2023 Brock Purdy and that schemed up offense. So I think this is very sustainable for the Seahawks because of the floor each week that the defense gives them. I, for weeks now, have had Chiefs versus Seahawks Super Bowl exacta tickets in my account. And if the Lions and the Packers are still going to be above these teams on the odds board in the NFC, I still think there's value on Seattle. I think the 2 best teams in the NFC are in the same division. I don't know who's going to win the division when the Rams and the Seahawks play each other. I think they're both awesome. So I don't know how that's going to go, but wouldn't surprise me if they either meet in the NFC Championship or meet against each other earlier, because that's just the way the bracket worked out.
And Steven, look, PFF grades aren't everything, but I mean, they're at least a starting point for when you're trying to make your case and your different little things. They have stuff over there that really, points to a ton of success here for this Seattle team. I mean, Darnold, 2nd highest graded quarterback in the NFL against 2 high shells. Guess who runs the 2nd highest 2 high shell rate in the NFL? The Arizona Cardinals. Oh, by the way, Sam Darnold, the number 1 graded quarterback out of a clean pocket so far in the 2025 season. The Cardinals are 25th in pressure rate. There's just a lot of stuff that points in Seattle's direction here in this game. I mean, now that we're up to 7, maybe we run to 7.5. Maybe this actually becomes a teaser option for us, or at least an alt line parlay option to get it down under 2.5 and feel pretty comfortable with it, because it would shock me to see to see Seattle lay an egg here in this one.
You read my mind with the midweek downgrade on Torrey Horton, and that now increasing the chance that he misses this game. And, Cooper Kupp's not good, but he's a body, and he might miss as well. And Shaheed, just getting thrown in here with less than a week. It makes me kind of nervous to lay the full spread now. Last couple of weeks, I've made good money on waiting for the market to bet against the Cardinals because the backup quarterback was in, and come back and get the best of the number on the Cardinals because I actually think he's the same or better than Kyler Murray at this point. Certainly makes the passing offense more explosive. So I have loved playing into that angle that the market can't properly price the Cardinals with the offense actually being better with Jacoby Brissett. I don't know if I want to do that against Seattle here because of the respect I have for Seattle. So I think at this point, especially with that midweek downgrade to Horton and what's looking potentially like a cluster injury at wide receiver, I think the teaser is the play here for sure.
So Shaheed's receiving yard, and I get it. He's going to be there for 20 minutes, but it's 40.5. That could be one catch. He might could just run. I mean, seriously though,
I'm laughing because you're right. It's funny.
They could put him out there and just hey, look, we know you don't have the whole route tree, but you can run fast in a straight line and like,
play action, boom.
Yeah. I don't know, man. 40.5 is super tempting to me. By the way, just to point this out, he's reunited with Kubiak, who was in New Orleans last year. So like, it's not like he's completely foreign to this offense.
Yep. And I'll take it a step further. How about a negative correlation same game parlay? Let's pull up SharpStack here real quick, see if they have any reception numbers yet for Rashid Shaheed in this game. Probably not with the injuries, but let's just take a look. Rashid Shaheed, they do. Wow, and it's 3.5. Okay. I will probably be playing a negative correlation here on Shaheed under 3.5 receptions because he just got there, and alts on his receiving yards overs just because of the deep threat he is and the fact that he already has an understanding of the Kubiak offense. So he will absolutely be available to be a deep threat in this game. So,
and Darnold, as we know, because JSN has 1,020+ yard catches already this season, like Sam Darnold will huck it downfield. Like he is.
How many opportunities could there possibly be when you're given 15 targets to JSN?
Yeah.
You know? So and just to complete the thought on the negative correlation SGP, the reason and the idea behind that is that the sports books have a hard time pricing it when it's negatively correlated. So when you're getting awful odds on a positive correlation, same game parlay, you're getting exponentially higher on a negative correlation, same game parlay. So I'm just spitballing here. Don't take my word for this, but like under 3.5 receptions, 70+ yards, you might get like 20 to 1 on that.
Yeah.
So check it out, play around with it. I think it's a decent look given that we have the midweek downgrade on Torrey Horton.
Detroit on the road at Washington. This is 8.5. There's a 7.5. So anywhere from 7.5 to 8.5, actually. 49.5, the prevailing total out there in the market. Like we said, Detroit got beat up last week a little bit. And that said, it is nowhere near the defense they're going to see this week. Washington's defense is horrific. You were now down Jaden Daniels. You were already going to be down Terry McLaurin. This is just a horrible, horrible situation for Washington. I think Detroit feasts on this defense. I don't know what they're going to do on offense either. And Steven, now that I've seen the projections this week, I'm actually going Detroit in Survivor. And
I was going to ask you. And
here's the thing. In Circa, by the way, guys, I only got one entry left, so that's kind of where I'm at. But they're only 30% available in the first place. So less than 1 out of every 3 teams can even use them. And if I am going to be sub 5% on Detroit as an 8-point favorite against a decimated Washington team, and half the pool is going to be on Denver and Carolina, I love my position. Like, I absolutely love my position. I will deal with Chris because I had plans of playing them on Christmas, right? So that was where I was going to go with Detroit. But now Minnesota, maybe they're better. Maybe they have life, maybe whatever. And Washington's not very unlikely to get Jaden Daniels back by the end of the year. So maybe my click is Dallas on Christmas or whatever or something. But I'll put it this way, Steven. If I get to Christmas, I'm monetizing the ticket anyway. So I'll deal with it when I get there. We're talking about Christmas week and then 17 and 18. So there's only 3 weeks left anyway. I'm making money off of this ticket, like no matter what. So I'm going to make the pivot to Detroit and hope that one of these 2 teams that I think is pretty weak loses this week. And maybe it's Denver tonight, or if not, maybe it's Carolina on Sunday. And I think that's the direction that I'm going to go.
The other side of it too was for weeks leading into week 10. I think a lot of us thought this is the week we'd have to use the Bills because there weren't that many other options. This also gives you an option to save the Bills for yet another week down the road because of this gift spot that has emerged with all the injuries to Washington. And frankly, some of the injuries to the Lions too, that make them less attractive against the higher quality opponent. So especially at that ownership. Yeah, you read my mind. Lions would be my slam dunk survivor pick for this week as well, Circa or not.
And I like the teaser leg as well.
Yep.
I don't know if I'm someone to lay the full 8, but I think the teaser leg is perfectly fine if anybody out there is wanting to go that direction.
Right there with you, bud.
Okay. So this is a fairly interesting one to me because the Rams on the other side of 4 now. It is 4.5 in favor of the Rams. They're on the road at San Francisco. We're getting teased again whether Brock Purdy's going to be back or not. Limited again in practice today, Steven. I know you don't really care whether it's him or Mac Jones. I kind of don't really care whether it's him or Mac Jones. I don't know if it
care a little
really
bit
changes the handicap all that much. Puka Nacua looked like he is going to be out there for the Rams after he had to leave last week with a chest injury. So huge for the Rams, obviously, to have Puka Nacua out there. What do you think about a 4.5 spread here with the Rams on the road?
I'm kind of caught between agreement with the market that the Niners defense is a mess. Not sure if Bryce Huff's coming back to help the pass rush for the 49ers. Not sure it matters against a good offensive line for the Rams. The Niners basically playing perfect against the Rams, and the Rams having a couple turnovers not go their way in the first meeting. Feels like the Rams are going to be able to score very easily in this game. Now, as a 49ers fan, this is not the first time the 49ers have come into a game against the Rams banged up with fans uncertain how they're going to score against this Rams defense. And Kyle Shanahan, whatever it is about his outside zone scheme and the passing game that he orchestrates, has over and over again over the past 5 years moved the ball very well against these Sean McVay teams. So I don't know. It's hard for me to get that out of my head, Matt. So I kind of lean over here. I think both of these teams will score enough to get this game into the 50s. I think the Rams could very easily put 30 up in this game. They were unlucky not to put 30 up on the Niners the first time when the defense was healthier. And I think the Rams are a wagon right now, man. So, but I don't know who's playing quarterback. Don't ask me. Ricky Pearsall, I don't know if he's playing. He's probably not. Brandon Ayuk is still weeks away. Christian McCaffrey's getting fed the ball 35 freaking times a game, just waiting, like praying that his legs don't fall off between now and the playoffs. So it's ridiculous how much of the offense is Christian McCaffrey right now. It's insane the volume he's getting. So I lean over here just because when Fred Warner went down on top of all the other injuries, my first reaction was they don't have anybody left, man. And they didn't make any significant acquisitions at the deadline. And their rookie defensive lineman, Mykel Williams, now on top of all the other guys, tore his ACL and he's out for the year. So I don't know how the Niners are getting stops in this game. I lean over.
I was trying to find out before we got to this game if there was some sort of injury news that we should be aware of, as Chargers flipped to a 3-point favorite at one of the national books, has picked up a lot of juice at MGM as well as at FanDuel. It's 2.5 right now in favor of the Chargers. Majority of the places, DraftKings has moved to 3 as well. 45.5 in favor of the Chargers. And you can see the juice at 120 right there. I was looking to see if maybe there was adverse Pittsburgh injury news today, but Scotty Miller isn't moving the line. Nobody, I don't know. I'm trying to figure out what may or may not have happened.
They love Chargers' new offensive lineman, Trevor Penning.
Yeah, I
don't know, man. Right? If short of any injury news, Matt, I don't agree with the move.
Me neither. Listen, I hate with a capital H this Steelers team.
Yeah.
But this opened at 4.5 that lasted no time and then got to 3.5. I played 3. I put 3.5 in the account. Like, I don't like the Steelers at all. Maybe they figured something out on defense. I don't know if they really will have to with how bad this offensive line is for the Chargers. No run game to speak of at all. So it's like Herbert dropping back 50 times, and can he beat them by dropping back 50 times? And so I'm going to roll the dice getting a full field goal that he can't beat them dropping back 50 times and throwing it at this team. I don't love them. I don't like the offense all that much. I don't think the defense is great. I think maybe it's gotten better, and maybe I undervalued them a tad. So I played a team that I don't like this week, but I thought the number was way off when it was on the other side of 3 with the Steelers.
I think the Steelers offense is functional most weeks. And I think we have a month's worth of games for the Chargers without Joe Alt to form a pretty strong conclusion that this offense is not functional without Joe Alt and the Chargers. Over that stretch against some pretty poor teams, Giants and Dolphins were in the sample. The Chargers were a bottom 7 offense by EPA and success rate. They struggled mightily. A couple spots where Herbert was under pressure almost like half the snaps. So anything at the key number of 3 or better is a bet for me. I bet a juice 3.5. Bet a little more at 3 after I did further handicapping later in the week. I feel really good about it. I think I know they traded for Trevor Penning, but they needed a tackle. And they traded for a guy who failed so miserably at playing tackle for the Saints that they moved him to guard. So I don't think that this is some quick fix for them via trade.
No, absolutely not. I'm with you. Look at that. We agree there on the Steelers.
On a team we hate. What could go wrong?
Yeah, who'd have thunk it? All right. Monday Night Football, Philadelphia Eagles and the Green Bay Packers. What a game we have on Monday night. This is 2.5 pretty much across the industry in favor of Green Bay. 45.5 to 46 is the total out there right now. There were 3s available in the game of you don't care what I have. I took 3 on the Eagles. I loved that I was able to get 3 on the Eagles. I think that it is stealing that I'm getting 3 on the Eagles. At 2.5, it still would be Eagles or pass for me. I might just play them on the money line then at that point. But like we said, 2 is popping up a little bit more now with analytics and going for 2 and missing 2 and all the different things and stuff like that. So, I think taking 2.5 is still perfectly fine. Steven, this Green Bay team plays with their food too much for me. And against a good team in Philadelphia, who, by the way, got an awesome injury report today. Full practice from A.J. Brown, full practice from Saquon Barkley, full practice. Who's calling back? Nolan's coming back for them. He got a full practice today. I mean, everything coming up Philadelphia for that. And then again, Green Bay just doesn't play 60 minutes. They just do not play 60-minute games. They cannot put 60 minutes of football together. And I think against a team like Philadelphia, you pay for that. I think Philly wins this thing outright.
I agree with you. I've just been waiting to see if this would touch 3. And you correct me if I'm wrong. I don't think this has touched 3 all week.
Yeah, I have a 3 in my account.
You do? Okay. So, but that was when you were on the air, like on Sunday night or something. It was gone pretty quick, or what? What was the timing of that?
FanDuel opened it at 3, which Boyd here in town uses FanDuel lines. So like they had it up, and there was a 3, I think, at Caesars as well.
Gone by Monday though, pretty much.
But
okay,
yeah, it's it wasn't there for very long though. No, you're definitely correct.
See, this is when having a 2.5-year-old and a 4-year-old and doing their bedtime on Sunday nights doesn't come in handy, but it's all right. A 3 would have been nice for me at this stage of the week. It's probably not coming back. I think it's telling that it hasn't come back. I think 2.5 with a really good team. At least you and I don't think it's a good team, but the market to this point has thought that the Packers have been a top 5 team all year. The fact that it hasn't gone back to 3 is telling to me that maybe opinions are starting to change on the Packers here, at least in the context of playing another good team like the Philadelphia Eagles. So agree with everything you said about the injury report. I'm just going to wait a little bit now that the key number is gone. I'm just going to wait a little bit longer, get some final injury reports. Maybe it pops up, maybe it doesn't, but I don't care about sacrificing 2.5 to 1.5 just to make sure about these injury reports on Saturday. So, but I will be there with you with an Eagles ticket come kickoff on Monday.
Yeah, it is. This is just, again, for me,
it's enough already with the Packers.
For me, I'm done. Yeah, I'm done with this. Like, show me play one full game, and then we can talk.
And why should the offense be better this week? Lost Tucker Kraft for the year. Matthew Golden's banged up.
Kraft, their only consistent receiver.
Right. Like Jaden Reed's still on IR. Christian Watson came back from a very long-term injury and is not playing full snaps. Okay, Romeo Doubs full-time snaps going to beat the Eagles in this game? I don't see. I think this is a tough spot for the Packers.
Me too. I love the Eagles. All right, circling back here, guys, as we approach kickoff. It is 8.5 market low, 9.5 market high on Denver. They're at Circa. We are at 8.5 still. So you can see some of that Vegas money came in. And Steven, I don't think there's like local bias on the Raiders at Circa, right? I mean, like maybe at the casual books, you get a little bit of like, local bias, maybe one of the local books. If we were talking about, like Stations Casinos or something here in Vegas or something like maybe, but Circa takes pretty sharp action. So somebody was not liking that number at 9.5, 9, whatever, gets this thing all the way down to 8.5 and has been there since we've been on air. So it's not like there was any buyback on Denver at that 8.5 number, 42.5. The number, the total out there. Like we said, I am on Brock Bowers. I love him to go absolutely nuclear in this game. I think Denver's defense works fundamentally different without Pat Surtain out there. And I think we saw a little bit of that last week. We saw Nico Collins have a pretty good game. And that is with the majority of the game being played by Davis Mills. And I do wonder how big of a game he would have had if Stroud could have stayed in there. And frankly, this would still be Vegas or pass for me. And if I can find, and I pray that Denver gets the ball first and kicks a field goal or something, and this thing gets to 10 again, I would love to have double digits in my account on Vegas, because I don't know if Denver has the firepower to blow anybody out.
Completely agree with you. I mean, they had that Jets game in London and could barely move the ball against this Jets defense, who got pounded and gave up, basically 40 points against the Cincinnati Bengals. So it's just never Bo Nix at this big of a spread ever. Just to repeat what I said at the top of the show, Bo Nix by a large margin this year is missing open receivers with throws that just aren't caught, or just uncatchable balls. Didn't even have a chance to be caught. He's the worst quarterback in the league in that area.
Steve, not to interrupt you. So Here's the move. ESPN, Fanatics, Caesars, FanDuel all go to 8.5. So the 9s all got scooped up. So there must be some sort of release or some sort of move or some sort of something out there. So the money on Vegas now seems to be unified, as the 9s are all disappearing right in front of our face right now.
And the tale as old as time. They all have taken a little bit, but they all come back to the Circa number. Here they are once again, back at the Circa number. So Circa once again leading the charge with that sharp action. So Ed Fang's another guy that I respect a lot in this industry. He had these two teams less than a touchdown apart coming into this game. There's a lot of sentiment going into this game that the Broncos are too big of a favorite and maybe shouldn't be more than a touchdown favorite in this game. I'll just go back in summary to say what I said before. It would be Raiders or pass. I do have concerns about the spot. Short week, going on the road after you just played overtime. It's tough. It's a tough spot, and they already are at a mismatch in the trenches at the very least. So it's an interesting matchup, but it is a very big number. That is for sure. And Brock Bowers is just a dog, man. And not just because he went to Georgia. This dude is awesome. I bet anytime touchdown on him at plus 175, you can get a plus 180 out there somewhere. So I like Brock Bowers. I want to lean into that. But it would be Raiders or pass for me for sure. I like your angle of waiting to see if we can get, maybe that 10 on the live line early in the game.
Guys, as always, if you have not done so already, go ahead, subscribe to the channel, like this video, let us know in the comment section how you're doing, how you're going to play this week. TNF Live is your code to go ahead and take a look at what they got going on with SharpStack. It is an invaluable tool if you want to take this seriously. And even if you're not a hardcore better, you are going to find some value in this no matter what. And so be sure, take a look at that. TNF Live is the code, 7 days for free, and then 25% off whenever you do decide to go at it. And of course, Steven is there at that fancy new sportsbook there in Kentucky. If you are in the area, you want to make the trip, you want to check it out, trust me, it is the place to watch and to bet sports. Always the best number, always the best splits, always looking at the customer first. There are the guys at Circa. It is, and Steven can tell you, I mean, it is a first-class establishment. You see those big screens out there behind him, and an excellent place to take in a sporting event.
Yeah, I mean, it's like a movie theater for sports fans. It's awesome. I mean, the seats are fantastic. They have trays if you want to go get some food or some beer while you're watching the games here. And if a game somehow, by some miracle, is not on one of these 9 screens behind me, you go right up to the desk and ask them to put it on. And if it's anywhere in the entertainment ether, they will find it for you and they will put it on a screen for you. So really cool to live in this part of the country and have this sports book available. Driving distance from where I live in Louisville, Kentucky, but it's only 45 minutes from Nashville, Tennessee. I mean, a lot of big cities, a lot of metro regional areas around here that didn't have anything like this before this opened. Right here at it's at the Mint Gaming Hall, right on the border of Kentucky and Tennessee. For the horse racing fans, it's Kentucky Downs. That's where I'm at. We're at Kentucky Downs, and it is a lot cheaper than flying to go see you, buddy, out in Vegas. I love the one in Vegas, that's for
you're
sure.
Always welcome at the Circa downtown.
I appreciate it.
Be sure and come on in and take that in, guys. Appreciate you watching the stream. For Steven, I am Matt. Good luck on all your Week 10 bets.